Good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Courtney Cup, hitting cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagi to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot, and we discuss local and national Native news and events. And as you know, Haley, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
They are, Dega. This portion of the show is supported by Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon, supporting honest Native news, stories, and events from natives themselves. Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon.
Hey, you know, before we get too far in this, Haley, I want to ask you, do you know what time of year this is now?
I think it's supposed to be winter, but I'm not seeing much snow.
Yeah, and you are a skier, aren't you, or a downhiller?
I am. Yeah, that's so funny you're talking about that, because I was just out at Afton Alps today checking out the runs, and they have some open. So
I like how you said Afton Alps. You said it with like a British accent. Often, often Alps down, yeah, kind of like Lovey on Gilligan's Island. That was awesome.
Oh wow, I haven't seen that show in forever.
Yeah, good change. Hey, so we got Arvina on today, Arvina Martin, and we're gonna try and quiz her and trick her again into questions that she doesn't know the answers to. And then we have Bob Blake from Red Lake, which I just love to say all the time. He'll be on later too, talking about a lot of good things.
Yeah.
That we like to talk about with him. There's so many good things going on.
Yeah, well, it's also the time of the year too to make sure you have your health insurance in check going into the new year. So if you do not have that set up, head over to mincher.org, where they have professionals on staff that will help you pick the right plan for you at the most affordable price.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, we got a lot of people out there that like killing stuff for no apparent reason.
Right.
We got an article we were going to talk about. Do you want to pull that up? And I have a audio clip I want to play too after you bring this up.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, Robert, I know you've had the pleasure of interviewing Minnesota Representative Rick Hansen this past Minnesota State Fair. So I'd like to share something from his most recent press release. It actually has to do with one of our great partners, Dr. Maureen Hackett at Howling for Wolves.
Oh.
Yeah, how this update is regarding the deer hunting updates. So this is saying
well, we talked about the deer hunting being people aren't hunting as much as they used to, and there was less deers bagged, as they like to put it, and we have like crazy politicians talking crap about it now.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot more renewed calls in the press, specifically for wolf hunts in Minnesota to be legal again, with lobbying groups claiming that healthy wolf populations are harming wild deer numbers and are hurting our hunting economy in return. So reporter Christopher Ingram cautions us that blaming wolves for declines in the deer harvest may be misplaced, as population declines are likely also result of our harsh winters and lack of habitat. So once again, this illustrates the data and science that we can't listen to, for policy making here, especially in St. Paul.
Well, they want to look for any reason. And, I don't know if you were working with us here on Native Roots Radio, but when I was at the Wolf, it spoke about wolves and how sacred they are for us at the Capitol this past session. I had Republicans coming at me, equating it with abortion. And it was
Right.
like,
Or like gun laws or something.
Yeah, now listen, this is a little clip I have here that I always think of when we talk about these people that think they should be killing wolves and anything they want because, well, they're the superior race, I guess.
Right.
Right, I've tried to play it and it didn't work.
If I can. Boys, looky there. That there's a Rocky Mountain black bear. One of the few remaining of its kind. Isn't it beautiful? By God, it's coming right for us!
So, in order to kill that sacred bear on South Park, they had to yell out, "He's coming right at us," and he's just standing
Wow.
there. So I always think that's what I always think of when I hear these stories about these poor hunters that want to just kill wolves because they like killing wolves. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, and I don't know,
killing
are they just
things.
not seeing the deer up there? Because I mean, obviously I reside in the city's metro, but I have relatives who live up north, and when I've visited them this past fall, we've seen a bunch of deer, and they looked very healthy. And
Right.
I do a lot of hiking here at our state parks, our local county parks here in Washington County, and always see deer, all times of the day. And maybe the deer are just staying away from the hunters because I don't know, maybe they're killing them. But our harsher winters, hard to say, definitely has an effect on animal migrations and where they eat, especially with climate change. Who knows what kind of patterns will start to emerge with our other wildlife in the area. And, I think one of the comments that a deer hunter made, actually, they called our relationship a weird love affair with the wolves. And actually, in most of our native nations, the animal of the wolf holds abundant importance, right? So our stories told in Ho-Chunk about our wolf clan and our relatives kind of sound something like this. So this is coming from the Milwaukee Public Museum. The origin of the wolf clan. So the ancestors of the wolf clan were all wolves. Long ago, the wolf people had no clothing and did not know how to use fire at the time of creation. Earthmaker made 4 brothers, a green wolf, a black wolf, a white wolf, and a gray wolf. And these 4 were the ancestors of the wolf clan. And at this time, these 4 kinds of wolves lived on the Earth's surface. But after a while, all but the gray wolf went to live in one of the realms below the Earth's surface. And they only appear above ground on rare occasions. So after a while, the gray wolves became Indians, and they were the ancestors of the wolf clan. So this mythical ancestry can be seen in names given to boys in our wolf clan families, such as the firstborn son being named Clear Blue Sky, meaning day, after the first mythical wolf brother, or the second son is called Black Wolf after the second wolf brother, and that one refers to night, and the third son was named White Wolf, and the fourth Gray Fur.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's
Well, and
it's not just a love affair.
we always talk about too that we've learned our ways from the wolves too by watching them and how they have pack leaders, and if you kill off a pack leader, how devastating that is to the whole pack. And we as natives and thousands of years ago watched the wolves and to learn how to live. And I just want to say one other thing too. Our lieutenant governor is in the wolf clan.
Mm-hmm.
The 46 gauge, Dad.
All right, here one more.
It's coming right for us! Kick ass!
Horrible.
Yeah,
You see that?
yeah, and so we just have to bring out the news because I found that again, gun rights, abortion rights, all these things want to be tucked right into a nice package. And our Republican relatives are not for anything, but they're against a lot of things. And one of them they're just for is their gun rights, as we see what's happening in the schools and all these areas with the gun violence. Nobody needs an AK-47 to go hunting, and
Right.
so it's one of those things. And thanks for bringing that story up because it's irritating, and we're gonna have some fun. We got Arvina up next, so I'm gonna pull it together here and
Yes.
say this is Native Roots Radio, and we're gonna be right back after this short break.
Stay with us with our Ho-Chunk sister.
Ho!
Be my way, be my place. If the statistics say that 1 in 3 Native women and 1 in 6 Native men have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime, it means our whole community is affected by sexual violence. 1 is too many. Don't stand by, stand up. Don't engage in acts of sexual violence, and shut down the dirty jokes, the gossip, the victim blaming and shaming. As a community, we can change the way we respond. Contact the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition to attend a workshop to learn more.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
As we gear up for the holiday season, let's prioritize the safety of our community, especially our cherished elders and loved ones. As you plan your holiday gatherings, remember, whether you're young or in good health, you could still unknowingly spread COVID-19. The key to a safer celebration is getting vaccinated. The newest vaccines are authorized, effective against current variants, and FDA approved for ages 6 months and up. So here's the call to action. Be a vaccinative. Protect yourself and your loved ones. Getting vaccinated before your holiday gatherings is a powerful way to ensure a safer and happier time for everyone. Let's honor our elders by preserving their wisdom and stories for generations to come. So be a vaccinative this holiday season. Find more information, including clinics with free vaccines, at vaccines.gov.
This message is brought to you in partnership with the Minnesota Department of Health.
Signing up for $1 bus and train rides with the Transit Assistance Program, or TAP, is quick and easy. Do it straight from your computer or phone by uploading one of the pre-approved documents listed at metrotransit.org/TAP, along with a copy of your ID. We'll mail you a go-to card with a full year of discounted rides. For questions or translation help, call 612-373-3333. 612-373-3333.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, we are with our friend Arvina Martin, sometime a guest host here on Native Roots Radio, but also our big Wisconsin connection here, and we always love to check in because we are on the Civic Media Network across the state of Wisconsin, and we respect that, and we'd like to bring in, we have an all-ho-chunk meeting here right now, it seems like, and we need our prayer played and talk about some things. But hey, Arvina, welcome.
Hello, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good, and I got to give you your just dues here. You're the CEO, Executive Director of Emerge Wisconsin, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the second segment. But I'd like to catch up with you and what's happening Ho-Chunk and Wisconsin-wise.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here. I love our Ho-Chunk Wednesdays.
Yeah, and did you hear our relative introduce the segment too, Sharice?
I did.
So
very appropriate.
That was good by the mothership. The producers at the station did that. That was awesome. So I was at an area meeting Monday in Chicago, and I ran into Casey Brown. And Casey, I was congratulating him, and I don't think a lot of people knew what I was talking about. But there was he helped win an Emmy for the nation.
Yeah. It's pretty exciting. He won I believe it was like a Midwest regional Emmy. And it was about my Choka Truman Lowe and about his art and his life and education. So I got to see it, and it was great. It made me cry. It was lovely to see my Choka Truman and hear his voice again. It made me really happy.
For our listeners out there that aren't sacred as much as we are, Choka means grandfather. And
sorry.
No, don't be sorry. We're here educating, and we have a lot of white allies listening, and we'd like to bring that up because Haley's my chujunk, my niece, and I guess you would be my sister, or maybe you'd be my chujunk too on a long way.
We gotta figure that out. We gotta do some genealogy and figure out if we're related and how so.
Exactly. Well, I know our friend Danielle you're related to, and she told me I'm
Mhm.
related to her. So somewhere
Hmm.
along the line, and I always talk about that, with genocide and all the diseases and everything, there was so few of us at one time that we all are related in one way or another that have made it through to this point in the 21st century.
Yeah, it's really sad to think about all those family lines that are that kind of left us due
Hmm.
to disease, due to policies of the US government. And it's sad that our communities and our families kind of went into a bottleneck because of it. So
Yeah.
I just got my hair cut, so I'm still getting used to bangs. So if you see
They
me
look so
fussing
good.
fussing
They
with
look
my hair, it's
amazing on
because I
you.
see myself and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not what I want to do.
No, it looks
So for
great.
those who
And
are watching as well as listening.
yes, definitely. Sometimes we forget this is a radio show because we're so enamored with looking at each other. And it's like, hey, what's that over there? And then we start talking, and it's like,
No.
oh, people on the 20,000 people that are listening to us right now do not know what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's a
Right.
great reminder for anyone listening out there. You can always watch us if you're curious to see what we're doing, what we look like, what we're wearing that day, how crazy Robert's hair is that day. Um, you can always find us on Facebook or YouTube at Native Roots Radio.
Here, and I thought you were going to say what kind of cool T-shirt I was wearing, and now you went right at the hair, didn't you?
It was sticking up, so I had to comment on it. But we were talking about my hair before too.
No, yeah, off air. But hey,
Yeah.
Arvina, so how often are you going back? And I saw, I think you changed your profile picture or whatever. Not that I'm
I
stalking you, but
did.
to your roller derby stuff. How
Yeah,
often
I
do you guys
did. I
practice?
played my first bout, my first game since like 2019, and my team won. And and I played well, so I was pretty pleased. That's a long time to be off skates, but muscle memory comes back or helps, and I really it's a great sport, and all you wonkshiks, all you native people, think about roller derby as a sport. It's a wonderful way to get your aggression out.
If you have any. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, what else is going on in Wisconsin, Urbina? I know there's weirdness going on. There's our relatives that live up to the north of us, not Ho Chunk, but our native relatives have a beef with the state, and I've kind of, if with my other job, I've heard a lot about it. What have you heard?
I have only heard things that are in the media, and it sounds like that the Wisconsin Joint Finance Committee not giving, and I know I mentioned this briefly last week, but is not agreeing to their side of the compact, in which they would return $1 million of gaming revenue back to each tribe. And the Joint Finance Committee had decided to not give that money to the Lac du Flambeau and Bad River tribes because of various issues relating to their land and how they've been operating, and it's turned into quite an ordeal. I know that Governor Evers, our friend, Governor Tony Evers, is suing to get those payments to Lac du Flambeau and to Bad River. But it sure seems like the Republicans on the Joint Finance Committee have a lot to say about this and are really upset. And I think that they're casting a lot of negativity onto the tribes when the tribes are operating the way that they have. And I know in particular Lac du Flambeau, with access to land on the reservation, the town has not negotiated a new what would the word be, a new legal way for non tribal members to access the roads that are on tribal land, and that sure seems like a them problem, not a lactoflammable problem, to me at least.
Right,
Seriously.
exactly. And there's a lot of things that are askew that we need to talk about. And one of the weird things I've heard and noticed too is that you talk a little bit about compacts, and that's kind of the just a real layman's term. That's kind of the agreement we have with the state as a tribal nation. You see these gas stations and things like that have slot machines, and you're just going, how can that happen, and who's regulating this? And the answer is it is happening, and no one's regulating it.
Absolutely. I mean, or in taverns or any kind of space in Wisconsin, you can find those VFW halls, like all of it. And people just, yeah, you're right. People don't think anything of it.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to say too is that it works both ways. I mean, if they're upset with certain things, I mean, we have things that we're upset about. And I know it's hard for us here in Minnesota too. We have a lot of good laws going on, a lot of good things happening. But I always kind of question to myself, okay, where's the teeth? Are we able to make this law really what happens if you go against the law and things like that? So those are questions that I always have in my mind, that there's all this good work and good compact and good work by Native communities in Wisconsin, Minnesota, but is there any teeth to these laws that are helping protect us? And a lot of times it isn't.
Yeah, you could say that about Act 31 as well, which is the legislation in Wisconsin that requires Wisconsin schools to teach about age-appropriate or teach age-appropriate lessons about tribes in Wisconsin, the history of tribes in Wisconsin, cultures, and structures of tribes in Wisconsin. And that law has been in effect for decades, and it barely anybody does it. Again, like you said, because there are no teeth and there are no ramifications for not putting it into their curriculum. And right. You see the results when, like, I talk to people all the time who are like, how come we never learned any of this in school? And my answer is always, you were supposed to. Right. But for some reason, school districts haven't prioritized it. I mean, I think we can probably guess what some of those reasons are. But it's a real shame, and it does a disservice to all of us Native people in Wisconsin and all of our tribes, putting in all of this really great work to help educate and not having that work reciprocated. Absolutely.
Hey, we're here with CEO Arvina Martin of Emerge Wisconsin, and we're just having our normal weekly chat here, and our blood pressure's getting up here, so we better take a break. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl. J&S Bean Factory is a Native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Hi,
Hi, I'm Claudia with MinSure, Minnesota's official health insurance marketplace. With MinSure, you can compare health plans from multiple companies and get free help from a trusted expert. Whatever health plan you choose with MinSure, it's guaranteed to cover essential benefits, so you can get the care you need. See if you qualify for discounts, available only through MinSure. If you need quality, comprehensive health insurance, get started now at minsure.org.
Unveil the captivating world of native photography at the Minneapolis Institute of Art. Their new exhibit, In Our Hands, Native Photography 1890 to Now, turns the camera around and puts native photographers in control, featuring hundreds of photographs captured by generations of First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and Native Americans. You'll view the world through their lens, revealing the beauty and complexity of Indigenous heritage. Don't miss this incredible experience. Visit In Our Hands at the Minneapolis Institute of Art now through January 14th. For more info, visit artsmia.org.
Hi, I'm Claudia with MinSure, Minnesota's official health insurance marketplace. With MinSure, you can compare health plans from multiple companies and get free help from a trusted expert. Whatever health plan you choose with MinSure, it's guaranteed to cover essential benefits, so you can get the care you need. See if you qualify for discounts, available only through MinSure. If you need quality, comprehensive health insurance, get started now at minsure.org.
As we age, it's important to invest in our health and to help protect it. Like the flu, COVID-19 is always changing. That's why it's important to stay up to date on your vaccines. By getting the flu and COVID-19 vaccines, you can renew your body's defenses and lower the risk of getting sick. Get your health boost and protect yourself against the flu and COVID-19. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. That's vaccines.gov. With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low around 27, Thursday sunny with a high near 46, and Friday cloudy with a high around 44. Experience the bold flavors of Szechuan and Mandarin cuisine at the Great Wall Restaurant. Indulge in their menu favorites like the hot and sour soup, sesame chicken, and Peking duck. Order for takeout and view the extensive menu at GreatWallyDina.com. Conveniently located just south of 50th and France and Edina. Again, GreatWallyDina.com.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. This is Spirit from Reservation Dogs. Get up and listen.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by J.S. Bean Factory off Randolph Avenue in St. Paul. Only the good stuff keeps us awake.
Yes, we are awake, that's for sure. Hey, with our Arvina Martin here, Executive Director of Emerge Wisconsin, and I guess I made you CEO, too, at the end of the... so we give you a big title there, but no, you're the Executive Director of Emerge Wisconsin. We'll talk a little bit about that. Now that we've kind of cleared up a few things about Minnesota and Wisconsin and the good and the bad things that are happening globally, well, let me back up a second. Did you hear the promo there with Dallas Goldtooth? I saw you got a picture with Dallas.
I did. Dallas Goldtooth came to UW-Madison and was like the big culminating event for UW-Madison's Native November. So he came. It was an amazing community event. A lot of obviously a lot of laughing, and he was so real with us. And I like that he talked about his past history as an organizer, and the work that he did, particularly at Standing Rock and working to prevent various pipelines going through Indian country. And I hope that the things that he spoke resonated with some of those UW Native students. And I'm hoping that some of them will listen to what he said and kind of follow those footsteps into organizing our communities in order to make sure that we are getting all the services that we need, and we're not having our resources stolen from us, and that we're able to protect what we have. And the best efforts are all these grassroots organizations and grassroots efforts that are really from the community and not somebody else coming in and saying, you need to do this. Those are the best kinds of movements. They're from the
Absolutely.
heart.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you know about how Native Roots Radio started, Arvina, but it was during
No.
Standing Rock. And let me just back up a little bit about Standing Rock. Because of all the misinformation that was going out there, we started Native Roots Radio. And I went to Standing Rock 4 times, and Ho Chunk had a camp there too, which was really cool. And Dallas was my go-to person for daily information. He did a live Facebook on Facebook Hill because they were blocking the signals. If you remember, they were blocking the signal, and there's only
Yep.
strange little places you could get a signal, a Wi-Fi signal, and he would do a live update every week. So I felt safe, or I knew it was going to, when we traveled 10 hours to go drop off supplies at Standing Rock. So yeah, he's great, not only a great comedian in 1491ers, all those great skits over the years, and Reservation Dogs. What was the other show?
Rutherford Falls.
Rutherford Falls. Thank you. He was on that, and he's been on a whole bunch of things. He's been on our show. He is the real deal, like you said, and well spoken. And it's cool how I think celebrity does make the point, and I'm sure those young ones at UW did hear what he had to say, because he's out there doing it.
Well, Dallas is
Absolutely.
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to mention too, Dallas is really involved in community radio, and he really advocates for community radio hosts, especially tribal community radio shows. I think it was maybe last month, but he put out a call where anyone could sign up via Google Form to get an intro done by him for their radio show specifically. So he's a big advocate and big supporter for tribal community radio shows too.
And it's so funny, Arvina, we had Gary Farmer on, and part of his history too is gathering stations in Canada. And we did not know about that. That was real interesting that he told us about that. So being an artist in media, singing artist, and like Bobby Wilson, former student of mine, that's a writer for Reservation Dogs, and's been on the show many times, and was also in Rutherford Falls too, as an
He was
obnoxious.
so good in Rutherford Falls.
I think he was playing himself, though. No, just kidding. But the art, and he's coming back to the Twin Cities in St. Paul to do a mural and things like that. So being part, the artists are speaking, and I think we all have that. We all have that in us. But it was great to hear. And Dallas is the real deal.
Absolutely. He was so authentic during the whole time. You really felt like he was sharing a piece of himself with us. And that's gotta take a toll on someone. To be that kind of transparent so often with the kind of appearances that you do. I really, I'm sorry, I'm shifting my spot here because my dog is whining at me for not sitting here. But I imagine that kind of putting yourself out there like that is just so, it can be very scary, and it can take a lot out of you. So I just have a tremendous amount of respect for him, treating his appearance the way he does, or his appearances the way he does, and how he really has an eye for our communities and wants people to be involved in whatever way that may be. And I think that's it's so different than other celebrities. Maybe he's not at like Brad Pitt levels yet, but maybe someday we'll see Dallas Goldtooth as sexiest man alive.
Yes.
Well, it's funny. His father, Tom Goldtooth, has been in the business of water protecting and things like that for many, many years. So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and we're really blessed to have Tom up in the deep north here in Minnesota, Bemidji area, still working on things like that, and good family, and it's great. And yeah, I can't say enough about him.
And we came with, I brought my sister, and I brought our kids, and hey, cut it out. Sorry. He's looking at me saying, I want on the chair. And, I just think it's amazing to have an actual native person that our kids see on screen, and they're really native. Like, it's
Mhm.
not like when I was growing up, it was Lou Diamond Phillips and
Right.
A. Martinez. And neither of them are actually native. So, you know, it's just, and then for them to not just be able to see actual native people who talk and act like their relatives on screen, but then get to see them at these appearances.
Mhm.
Um, and watching, he took pictures with everybody at the
Yep.
end of the his talk.
Mhm.
And the way he interacted with the kids that were there was outstanding. And,
Yep.
I was, maybe a little nervous about, like, maybe the conversation might get a little bawdy.
Mm.
And it did a little bit, but nothing worse than the kids would see on TV anyways. But he was so great with the kids that came to take pictures with him. And, it makes me proud.
Yeah.
That our kids get to have this experience and get to see someone like them on TV, and then get to meet them and hear them talk about, amazing and important things, and also be super funny and laugh really hard.
Yeah.
Right.
It was great.
Yeah, that
I
is
think
great. Go ahead here.
just to meet people like that, big influencers in our communities, is to meet them in real life and in person and be able to talk to them face to face just kind of proves that they're human too. And,
Mhm.
you were all in the same spot at once. And if you work hard and you do the right things, or, you can end up like that too. So, we can all kind of help each other get there.
Yeah. And I think too, well, what's interesting, Arvina, do you remember me? I was the voice of Wisconsin, the Democratic Party for a weekend.
Yes, I do remember that.
Well, I feel like a million people knew you, and I was really impressed with that, and
Aw.
that you're a doer. And I always have to remind our audience too that you were the first Native American, what we call here in the cities, a city council member in Madison, Wisconsin, and I like to bring that up because again, you are a doer, and you are part of working on things to make them better for our community, for our BIPOC community, for our women community, and that's real. And I sensed that and saw that, and again, I say this a lot of times to a lot of our guests, and especially weekly guests like yourself. We're really blessed to have you
Oh.
on this show and talk and have fun and talk about Wisconsin politics and talk about Minnesota politics. And I gotta and I just really we really appreciate you being on.
Yeah, I'm always happy, and I'm always honored to be here. And I really subscribe to the whole lift while you climb philosophy, and that, if I'm going places, I'm taking people with me. You know, so many people, especially in the political field, have all of these connections. And I think of the folks, in our native communities that don't necessarily have those connections. And I want to be able to be accessible, and want to be able to be one of those people that if they have questions about working in politics, like, I'm here, I'm all ears. I will answer questions that you may have. I want to do what I can to help get us into the room and at the table where all these decisions are being made. Because, and we're lucky because we have our, folks like you, we have our tribal representatives in these rooms. But we need people making decisions about healthcare that look like us. And we need people in our communities who work in education to be at those meetings and at that table. Because, what's the saying? If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And I
Yeah.
think that we're seeing that with the whole situation with Lac de Flambeau, is that, that there are Republican lawmakers who are not treating the Lac du Flambeau tribal government as peers,
Right.
and trying to scold them for doing, what they've had to do to protect their land and protect their resources. The more people like us that we have in those rooms, the less likely this stuff is going to happen, because we understand the importance of tribal sovereignty, and we know that it's not dependent on what Senator Mary Felskowski says, that we do have these rights, and we do have certain responsibilities, and we do them the best we can. So, let's get
Wow.
more of us in there. Run for office, Native people.
Right on, and well said. And also, real quick, 15 seconds, Emerge Wisconsin. Let's get a hold of you in Emerge Wisconsin.
Yeah, check us out, wi.emergeamerica.org. You can email me at Arvina, ARVINA, at emergewi.org. If you have any questions, I'm here to help.
Big thank you, big peeny gigi. Thank you, Arvina. Have a great week, and go Packers. Oh,
Yeah. Go Vikings.
We'll be right back.
As we gear up for the holidays, let's keep our friends, relatives, and elders protected from COVID-19. Even though the emergency declaration is over, COVID-19 is still a concern, especially for those with compromised immune systems. So when you get together this holiday season, opt for outdoor gatherings if weather permits, or well-ventilated indoor spaces. And here's a tough one. If you're feeling unwell before your gathering, stay home. It may not be much fun, but it goes a long way towards keeping our cherished elders healthy. After your event, keep an eye on your health. Test if you notice symptoms. If you're traveling in crowded places like airports, put on a mask for that extra layer of protection. Let's make this holiday season the healthiest ever, securing a brighter future for our Native community. For more tips, visit health.state.mn.us. That's health.state.mn.us.
This message is brought to you in partnership with the Minnesota Department of Health.
Signing up for $1 bus and train rides with the Transit Assistance Program, or TAP, is quick and easy. Do it straight from your computer or phone by uploading one of the pre-approved documents listed at metrotransit.org/TAP, along with a copy of your ID. We'll mail you a go-to card with a full year of discounted rides. For questions or translation help, call 612-373-3333. 612-373-3333.
As we age, it's important to invest in our health and to help protect it. Like the flu, COVID-19 is always changing. That's why it's important to stay up to date on your vaccines. By getting the flu and COVID-19 vaccines, you can renew your body's defenses and lower the risk of getting sick. Get your health boost and protect yourself against the flu and COVID-19. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. That's vaccines.gov.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Bob.
Oh!
There he is.
Look at that. Look at
Oh,
that.
he's got
There
the
it
wolf.
is.
He's got the wolf hat there. Still waiting for that. Still waiting for that invite to courtside with you, Bob. And I'm looking at my email every morning. Hey, we have Bob Blake from Red Lake, which I love always to say, but he's the owner of Solar Bear and the Solar News here on Native Roots Radio, and also executive director of Native Sun, a nonprofit solar company. Bob, before we get going with the news, Vikings. Oh my God, Vikings. What I thought I was in 1971 again when we had no quarterback and the best defense in the country.
Yeah. Wow. Isn't that incredible? Really, Robert, I don't know what they're going to do. They really need to figure out this quarterback situation. Dobbs I actually felt like they should never have let Dobbs get a peek at the playbook and see our 5 plays because it seemed like he was better when he was like the Tecmo or the quarterback when he was just like making it up as he wins.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and then the thing about him too, and I don't want to turn this into Vikings talk, but the thing about him too, he was a starter for the Cardinals when we got him, and his record was 2-7 when we got him, so he was no savior. This is our 4th quarterback, and pray for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's and Kevin O'Connell was a quarterback.
Right.
When he was in the NFL. So, I don't know where we go from here, honestly, Robert, because it just seems like, Kirk he's a little old now. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is these defenses are so athletic now, Robert, that you really need an athletic quarterback now. You just can't sit back there and stand in the pocket, because these guys are just so athletic now.
Yeah, that's why I had to retire. My bad knees. And me and Joe Namath, we couldn't really move around back there much more.
Broadway Robert. That's what it was.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, we got Bob Blake with the Solar Bear with the Solar News. What's happening, Bob?
Hey, Bob. Here's what's going on, Robert. I was going to call you Bob Pilot.
That's okay. Your grandfather did. You could do that.
Yeah. Well, that's what Joe calls you still, Bob Pilot. So here's what's going on, Robert. In the Arctic is warming, threatens wider world with rising sea levels. Now we've always known this was happening, but the problem is that it's happening exponentially.
Yeah.
We know we're in Minnesota. It's December 13th, 14th right now. And, it's 40, 50 degrees outside. So, people, this is a problem. And this is going to be an even bigger problem for our lakes and for the things that we hold sacred here in the state of Minnesota. So yeah, this is not.
I take a walk down to the river every day when I'm healthy, and today I walked down there, and I live kind of by the Lock and Dam over by the Ford or by the Fort Snelling, and there is no water going over the dam, and there's islands I've never seen before.
Yeah, and I think the big thing that people are going to have to understand is our fresh water, right? This is the source of life, and like I always tell people, it's not going to be, you're not going to get you are going to get the 120 degree weather that's constant, right? But the big problem is going to come when we can't feed people, and that's why we need to really focus in on agrivoltaics. We need to focus. A friend of mine about a year ago told me, he goes, Bob, we just streamlined 30 gigawatts of agrivoltaics in Europe because they had a couple of years ago extreme heat waves, and it destroyed their crops, and it was difficult for them to feed the people in Europe. So they're the United States has to get on this, and I'm telling you right now, especially when these farmers find out that selling corn, for ethanol is not going to work anymore because you have electric vehicles and hydrogen vehicles.
Right.
I mean, these farms are going to go bankrupt. So they really need to start focusing in on agrivoltaics. And I encourage people that, please talk to your elected representatives. Say, hey, Solar Bear's talking about, let's move to agrivoltaics now. Let's start getting a plan together and working with our farmers, because this is going to become a problem, Robert.
Hey, could you explain what that is, Bob? I'm not sure if I know.
Yeah. So everyone, agrivoltaics is basically solar energy on top of crops, right? And there has been a lot of research on this, especially at the National Renewable Energy Laboratory out in Denver, Colorado, around agrivoltaics, and the crops and what they're growing underneath them. The food is coming out better. So
is it magnified too through the solar panels?
Yep, absolutely. That's exactly what's happening. And see the rays of the sun, right, is what's damaging the crops, right?
Ah.
Yeah, and so it's like, why do you have to replace your roof, everybody? Because the rays of the sun are damaging your roof, right? They're damaging the shingles. And so, that's the real reason right there, and why, you want to be able to, as a farmer, start producing energy while you're producing your crops.
Yeah, big. That's something we should really talk about more, because that's got to be something we really look at. And with Europe, we have such a short memory. I forgot all about that, where they had that the crops were destroyed and the
Yeah.
wine and everything.
Yeah, USDA, and I think made a big pledge on this, at COP28 just recently, the big climate conference over in Dubai. Yeah, and of course, there has been also, some other, pilot projects that are happening around this, but it's not enough, Robert. It needs to happen a lot sooner and a lot quicker. And I guarantee you, in the next couple of years, we're going to get a heat wave and we're going to get a drought. And it's going to wake everybody up, and they're going to sit there and say, "Oh, why do we have food shortages on the shelves?" Oh, I know why, because we can't grow crops right now. So it's a real problem.
Yeah, and it's funny you should say that too, because I feel like since COVID and people hoarding stuff and all that, and people not being able to manufacture things or get parts from China or whatever, we still haven't rebounded. I'll go to a place, a convenience store of sorts, and they are still out of stuff.
That's and that has been on the minds of a lot of business professionals too, because obviously we have a labor shortage, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that we're not talking about. And the second thing is, how do we expect our stores to keep things in stock for us if, they can't even afford to replace and get the stuff because of inflation and the rise in cost of the goods and services, right? So
Yeah.
I really, and everyone, this isn't a Biden fault. This isn't.
Yeah.
This is just the situation, everyone. And I want everyone to understand that the environment and everything that's happening with it is going to affect every little thing along the supply chain process. And actually, because of the Inflation Reduction Act, we've created more jobs in manufacturing. These are some of the things that we're dealing with. So, let's not take a step backwards.
Absolutely. And we're going to be revving and talking about that. Hey, Bob, can you hold on for a second after the show? I got to share something with you. Hey, we're still here. We are the seventh generation. We were just with Bob Blake of Solar Bear with the Solar News, Petey Gigi. We're still here.
And free Leonard Peltier. Now.